A Mortal's Journey to Immortality episode 346. In the previous episode, tensions flared when the Endless Sky Saintess confronted Han Li, only to discover that the precious treasure in his bundle was far from an illusion. Hoping to avoid further conflict, she offered compensation, but Han Li set his sights on something far more personal, the jade pendant hanging at her waist. Though reluctant, she finally handed it over, unaware that Han Li's true aim was to use it in a clever detection technique taught by Monarch's soul divergence, allowing him to sense her presence and avoid her pursuit in the coming months. As Han Li slipped into the busy streets and then a quiet alley, Monarch's soul divergence revealed the deeper strategy behind taking the pendant, a precaution to buy time before greater threats arrived. But just when Han Li thought he could move unnoticed, a mysterious old cultivator stepped out of the shadows, admitting he had followed Han Li using a ghostly concealment technique and claiming he wished to propose an exchange. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. I have no interest in shadowy characters like yourself. It'd be best for you to leave. Han Li spoke with calm indifference, hands folded behind his back, his voice dismissing the small old man before him. The old man blinked with surprise at the direct rejection, but his wrinkled expression soon shifted into a smile. Clearly, he believed he still held the advantage. With a tone lined with amusement, he suggested that Han Li should listen before rejecting him, warning that refusing too quickly might bring misfortune. Han Li raised an eyebrow with feigned interest, inviting the old man to explain. Smiling, the old man revealed a faint beam of green light from the pouch at his waist. It circled above his head and formed into a fist-sized emerald slug. Its translucent antennae swayed through the air as it rested comfortably upon his head. Han Li recognized it immediately and asked why the old man would summon such a creature. Even joking about venom, the old man explained that while the spirit beast was harmless in combat, it possessed a strange mutation that could pierce through illusion techniques. With a smug voice, he revealed that he had attached a sliver of his spiritual awareness to the beast during Han Li's battle with the yin-sifting sect. In other words, the old man had witnessed something Han Li had wanted hidden, the level of deception he used and the true illusion barriers masking his identity. Inside, Han Li felt a cold ripple of concern, though his face remained still. When he asked what the old man wanted, the greedy cultivator revealed his intention openly. He wanted treasures, ancient items, or a large number of spirit stones in exchange for silence. His tone implied confidence, even arrogance, as if Han Li had already accepted defeat. Rather than reacting with anger, Han Li questioned him with a light smile, asking if this was blackmail. The old man did not deny it. Instead, he stepped back and explained the trap he had laid. He had already sent a disciple to follow the Endless Sky Saintess and the yin-sifting sect group. If anything happened to him, they would learn about the bamboo tube illusion Han Li used. Worse, the old man reminded Han Li that killing him in the Jin capital was foolish. Many powerful cultivators were present for the great auction. If he blew a simple whistle, several nascent soul cultivators could surround Han Li at once. The old man ended his threats confidently, stating that Han Li had no choice but to accept his demands. Han Li stared at the glowing yellow barrier the old man had summoned around himself. His brows furrowed in thought, his expression wavering as if he truly weighed the risk of provoking the nearby sects and exposing his secrets. After a lengthy pause, his face relaxed into a calm expression. He admitted that it seemed he would have to make concessions to avoid complications and asked what the old man wanted. The old man, overjoyed, eagerly asked for ancient treasures. His greed caused Han Li's brow to twitch. With deliberate slowness, Han Li reached for his storage pouch and produced an egg-sized sphere of gold and silver light. He explained that it was called a Cloudnight Pearl, something he did not use himself. He warned the old man not to be greedy or it would consume him. The old man did not take the item directly. Instead, he tossed his slug aside and wrapped the sphere in black light while testing it with his spirit beast to confirm that it was not an illusion and carried no ownership mark. Finally satisfied, he took it in hand, muttering about its unique design. When he asked about its abilities, Han Li smoothly told him that he would be satisfied once he tried it himself. Even while admiring the treasure, the old man's greed grew. He confidently claimed that one treasure would not be enough and that Han Li would give him more. As he channeled spiritual power into the sphere, his mind was already planning the next round of extortion. That was when Han Li's quiet smirk curved at the corner of his lips. His voice turned cold, emotionless. He stated that one treasure was indeed not enough, and then asked a chilling question. How about he send the old man into the afterlife? The old man had no time to react. His spiritual power was being rapidly drained into the sphere. The glowing ball ruptured, exploding into several dozens of black-tainted gold-devouring beetles. They swarmed toward his face faster than he could dodge. His barrier held back their teeth for a brief moment, or he would have been torn apart instantly. Blindness seized him as he clawed madly at the insects, trying to remove them while drawing in breath for a whistle. But the whistle never came. A deep snort filled the air and pain tore through his spiritual awareness. His body convulsed with agony. Desperate, the old man threw himself skyward, and the beetles scattered from his face just in time for him to see a massive golden sword wrapped in purple flames descending upon him. There was no time to escape. He screamed while throwing every ounce of spiritual strength into his yellow barrier. His mind raced with regret. He realized that this wandering cultivator had planned his death from the beginning, never once considering submission. Still, he hoped his powerful wooden shield could block the strike. It did not. The golden blade sliced through the barrier like soft cloth. The world flashed white. The sword cleaved the old man cleanly in half. His inch-tall black nascent soul emerged from the split body, frozen with terror, only to be sealed instantly in purple ice. The sword turned once in the air, gleaming as it struck down the abandoned slug beast and splashed the ground with blood before rising again. Bolts of golden lightning lashed from its blade, wrapping around the frozen nascent soul. A chain of thunder boomed in rapid succession, tearing it apart fully. Han Li stood relaxed, as if the entire exchange had been a matter of routine. He stretched out one hand, pulling the old man's storage pouch to himself. Then 3 red fireballs rolled from his palm, touching the 2 torn halves of the body and the remains of the slug. They evaporated into ash in moments. Without a trace of concern, Han Li rose into the night sky and vanished. Time passed. Roughly a quarter of an hour later, 5 streaks of light descended upon the scene. Among them were Zhe Tianhao, the 2 elders of the Yin Sifting sect, the Endless Sky Saintess, and a young core formation cultivator. The young disciple stared at his sensing tool with mounting dread, confirming that this was the exact point where his master's presence had vanished. Zhe Tianhao scanned the area. His gaze landed on dark red stains on the ground. His voice grew heavy as he spoke. Zhe Tianhao swept his eyes nearby and spotted a few dark red splatters. With a gloomy expression, he said, "There are still remnant spiritual energy fluctuations and traces of blood here. The aura of that cultivator Li is still present as well. It appears your master has already died." The youth paled and said with an uncertain tone, "That's impossible. Although my master's cultivation is inferior to that villain, he should have had a chance to escape." The young disciple trembles as he speaks, still clinging to the belief that his master, an early nascent soul cultivator known for his countless escape techniques, could not have been killed so easily. His voice reveals both denial and fear, as though saying the words aloud might change reality. Zhe Tianhao answers with cold irritation, cutting through the youth's doubt. He reminds him that the man they are pursuing has already slain cultivators of similar strength in the past. It should be no surprise that another early nascent soul cultivator failed to protect himself, especially when facing a ruthless opponent who has repeatedly proven his ability to kill above his grade. He demands to hear everything the old man told the youth before his disappearance. Before the youth can explain, the Endless Sky Saintess blurs across the battlefield, her spiritual perception sweeping the land. She retrieves a shattered fragment lying on the ground and examines it with a grave expression. When she returns, she throws the broken piece toward the youth. He catches it, his heart sinking as he realizes what he is holding, a faintly glowing fragment of yellow wood, once part of his master's defensive treasure. He speaks in disbelief. explaining that the wooden shield was durable beyond imagination, capable of withstanding fearsome attacks. For it to break, the force destroying it must have been overwhelming. His complexion drains of blood, the truth finally taking hold. The saintess confirms what they now must accept: the old man has been killed. She turns to Zhe Tianhao and speaks frankly. She reminds him that although he doubted the enemy's strength earlier, it is now clear the man is even more dangerous than expected. In moments, he killed the old man before help could be summoned, as though he possessed the power of a late nascent soul cultivator. Even though their forces are strong, capturing such a monster will not be simple. Her words press Zhe Tianhao's pride. He responds with dry laughter, promising that his sect will pursue the killer no matter the risk. The death of a sect elder and the theft of their sacred treasure. The ghost-sifting banner demand vengeance, but he also notes that the endless sky saintess has her own reasons for hunting this man. Her absence from her people for so many years has never been fully explained. If she is here now, it means the hatred in her heart runs deep. She smiles sweetly, but her eyes show sharp resolve. If they succeed in killing the man, she will increase the reward by 1/5. However, her sacred temple requires one of the treasures currently in his possession. It is the price of her cooperation. Zhe Tianhao accepts, with negotiation. The reward must increase by 3/10 to offset the immense losses his sect will suffer in pursuing someone so dangerous. But regarding the treasure, he promises they will honor their earlier agreement. No matter how fierce the battle becomes, the temple will receive what it desires. After a brief hesitation, the saintess agrees. Their alliance is sealed, their mutual hatred binding them together. Zhe Tianhao immediately issues orders. His junior, Elder Hu, must send a message talisman summoning every yin-sifting sect elder and disciple near the Jin capital. Their quarry will surely participate in the grand auction, and it will be their best chance to strike. However, the plan requires secrecy. Other sects must never learn the truth. Low-grade disciples are forbidden from attacking alone. The enemy must be forced into a spell formation, where coordinated power can overwhelm him. Elder Hu asks if they should alert their sect master, Fang. After all, the fourth elder was sent by him to deal with this same enemy in the past. Zhe Tianhao hesitates, then explains the situation. The Grand Elders are already displeased with Fang due to the failed restoration of the ghost-sifting banner and the death of the fourth elder. Fang is now in seclusion, refining a vicious treasure, and even if he leaves immediately, he will not reach the auction in time. However, they will still send him a message. If they fail now, a second attempt can be made with his support. With their plan settled, the group departs, streaks of spiritual light dissolving into the sky. Several mortals stare upward afterward, confused and terrified by the sudden appearance of so many powerful cultivators. The Jin capital forbids flight within its boundaries, but cultivators from a powerful sect like the Yin-sifting sect ignore such restrictions entirely. Miles away, on a quiet path far from the battlefield, Han Li walks alone. He casually inspects the contents of the old man's storage pouch with his spiritual sense. A wide array of items appears, most valuable, some curious, but then he pauses, astonished by something unexpected. The voice of Monarch Soul Divergence echoes through his mind, lazily inquisitive, asking if Han Li has discovered something noteworthy. Han Li responds by revealing a slender jade bottle in his hand. No longer than 7 inches, beautifully carved with exquisite patterns. It emanates a biting cold, so sharp that his hand tingles. When he shakes it, he hears liquid splashing inside, yet his spiritual sense cannot penetrate the bottle to see what lies within. He wonders aloud, could it be a rare spirit liquid? If so, the bottle itself must be extraordinary. Monarch Soul Divergence cautions him not to open it now. On a mortal road, strange phenomena would draw attention. Han Li acknowledges the wisdom and stores the bottle away. The ancient soul then reminds him of the danger he now faces. His identity is exposed. The Yin-sifting sect and the Endless Sky Saintess will not rest. They have surely realized he will appear at the grand auction. Trouble is approaching from every direction. Han Li remains calm. He believes nothing like the slug beast exists in the city, nothing capable of piercing his illusions. As long as he avoids late nascent soul cultivators, he is confident, and the auction is essential. Only by attending can he gather the rare materials needed in time. Danger cannot stop him. Hearing Han Li's determination, Monarch Soul Divergence makes a rare promise. Since Han Li is risking everything to gather materials for the puppet body, the ancient soul will make an exception. If things become truly dangerous, he will use the powerful Soulfright Thorn technique to aid Han Li in battle. Han Li is truly grateful. The support lifts a weight from his heart. 2 hours later, Han Li arrives at the Taoist monastery where he previously stayed. He speaks briefly with the master before quietly returning to his room. He seals the chamber with several temporary formations, shielding it from any perception. Then, he retrieves the dark green bottle to examine it properly. As he opens it, an eruption of glacial light bursts forth. The temperature plunges. Frost forms instantly. Even Han Li, tempered by purple apex flames, shivers when the freezing mist brushes against his skin. He reacts quickly, wrapping himself in purple fire. The glacial light recoils from the flames, spreading across the room instead and forming a sheet of thick ice over every surface. If he had not sealed the chamber, the glacial mist would have escaped, freezing the monastery itself. Although this chilling light is not as deadly as the purple apex flames, its cold matches the fearsome celestial ice flames. Han Li watches with fascination. With flames wrapping his hand, he studies the bottle. Frost spreads with every flickering ray. He peers deep into the mist using penetrating sight. Inside, he sees a shining silver liquid, glowing so brightly that it seems like molten moonlight. Monarch Soul Divergence suddenly speaks, voice filled with rare excitement. He tells Han Li to carefully pour a single drop of the liquid onto a jade disc. Curious, Han Li pulls out a small jade plate and tilts the bottle. A single drop falls. Upon landing, it rings sharply, forming a tiny silver pearl that rolls gently across the jade surface. Han Li is surprised. It emits no coldness now, behaving like a simple pearl, yet its nature feels profound. Monarch Soul Divergence breathes deeply and explains what Han Li has found. Only a bottle of myriad-year ice jade can nurture something so rare, glacial quintessence. The essence itself is valuable for forging treasures and refining pills. But for it to grow within myriad-year glacial jade, such a thing is nearly unheard of. Han Li asks about the names. He has never heard of myriad-year ice jade or glacial quintessence before. Monarch Soul Divergence explains calmly. Glacial quintessence is a jade essence used in the refinement of high-grade tools and pills. But nurturing it in myriad-year glacial jade is so rare that only the North Night Palace in the northwest is known to possess a similar treasure. In all the world, he has never heard of another example. Then he adds something that gives Han Li even more perspective. The snow crystal pearl Han Li owns was refined from myriad-year glacial jade. I've never heard of this item existing in another place in this world. Ah yes, that snow crystal pearl of yours is something that was refined from the myriad-year glacial jade as well. As Han Li gazed at the jade pearl, his eyes wavered. Since this item is so rare, it should have some special properties. Han Li held the small bottle in his hand, its cold surface sending a faint sting into his palm. He did not yet fully understand its value, but the unusual glimmer of the liquid inside stirred a deep curiosity in him. Monarch Soul Divergence, the ancient soul sealed within his bamboo tube, spoke with an almost solemn respect in his voice. He explained that this was no ordinary treasure. To human cultivators, the substance known as glacial quintessence was already a top-grade material used in forging tools and refining powerful medicine. But to the demon clan, it was something they would offer their very souls to obtain. It possessed one astonishing effect. It allowed evolving demon beasts to endure the heavenly lightning of their ascension tribulation. Hearing this, Han Li was momentarily stunned. He had always known the path to ascension was difficult, especially for demons, but he had not imagined that something so unassuming could change their fate so completely. Monarch Soul Divergence explained that in the world lived countless high-grade demon beasts, each capable of cultivating power equal to human nascent soul cultivators, and yet only a sparse handful ever survived the heavenly lightning that allowed them to transform into human form. Lightning was a natural weakness for most demon beasts, and the tribulation's power was meant to destroy all but the strongest. But just a single drop of glacial quintessence could make the body of a beast resistant to lightning for a short time. It was enough to greatly increase their chance of survival. Han Li's eyes narrowed as he imagined groups of demon beasts fighting to obtain such a treasure. Monarch Soul Divergence continued to speak, his voice hollow with long-forgotten memories. He revealed that when he had traveled across the Great Jin in ancient times, he had learned that demon beasts regularly attacked the North Night Palace, the sect known for guarding and producing glacial quintessence. Every 1,000 years or so, powerful beast leaders gathered in secret and launched a ferocious assault on the island where the palace was located. Their reason was simple: even a small amount of glacial quintessence could allow several tens of demon beasts to ascend, breaking the balance of power in the Great Jin cultivation world and flooding it with monsters at the peak of their ability. Han Li listened in disbelief. He tried to imagine the entire Great Jin continent overrun with newly ascended beings, each holding power that could rival old cultivators who had trained for centuries. Monarch Soul Divergence answered his disbelief with calm explanation. It was said that the North Night Palace maintained the balance of the cultivation world by refusing to let demon beasts grow too strong. They released small amounts of glacial quintessence each time under heavy pressure, claiming that it was better to preserve balance than to allow chaos. However, Monarch Soul Divergence did not trust such a noble explanation. In the past, he had fought against a group of North Night Palace elites and killed their deputy palace master. During a soul-searching technique, he uncovered the true reason the palace kept glacial quintessence sealed away. The truth was startling. The main purpose of glacial quintessence was far greater than even helping beasts ascend. It was the primary ingredient of an ancient medicine known as returning sun water. Han Li felt his breath grow cold when he heard that name. Returning sun water was a legendary medicine that could restore the body almost instantly no matter how severe the damage. The records claimed that even if one was cut into pieces, the medicine could bring them back to life. Some rumors even suggested it had the power to pull a dying cultivator back from the final moment of death. Even if those rumors were exaggerated, the medicine had one effect that was accepted across every ancient text. It could extend the lifespan of the user by nearly 1/4 of their original lifespan. The implications were enormous. Late-stage core formation cultivators would have a refined chance to reach nascent soul. Nascent soul cultivators nearing their lifespan limit could step forward into deity transformation, something most could only dream of. Han Li silently calculated the possibilities in his mind. With such a medicine, the closed gates between stages of cultivation would not seem so solid. It was reasonable why the North Night Palace had guarded the ingredient for generations. But Monarch Soul Divergence warned that glacial quintessence alone was not enough. To refine returning sun water, one also needed a second main ingredient, something even rarer: pure sun flame essence. This substance was formed only in the deepest layers of lava and had its own intelligence. Most cultivators would never see one in their entire lives, even if someone lucky enough to encounter one managed to capture it. Without the correct formula, the essence could not be used. Monarch Soul Divergence revealed that he did possess the formula. He had memorized it while digging through the memories of the palace master he defeated long ago. If Han Li ever wished to make use of glacial quintessence in this way, he would provide the formula willingly. Han Li accepted the offer with unexpected joy. Although he understood the difficulties involved, even the possibility of refining the medicine gave him a sense of hope. Monarch Soul Divergence warned him again that pure sun flame essence was not something that could be acquired easily. If the North Night Palace could have refined returning sun water, they would have done so long ago, given their access to glacial quintessence and their possession of the formula. With that, a yellow jade slip emerged from the bamboo tube and hovered before Han Li. He took it with a deep nod of thanks. Before falling silent, Monarch Soul Divergence also mentioned something else. Han Li's ice attribute treasure, the snow crystal pearl, was created from myriad-year ice jade. If he were to add several drops of glacial quintessence into it, the power and concentration of its spiritual force would be greatly increased. Han Li nodded thoughtfully. Even without the suggestion, he would have considered it. The thought had already occurred to him. However, another idea formed in his mind. He wondered whether glacial quintessence could be absorbed by his purple apex flames. His flames were extraordinary, a divine fire that could melt even ancient materials. If they could integrate the cold power of glacial quintessence, their strength might reach another level entirely. Han Li felt a pulse of desire in his chest. The idea was too tempting to ignore. He set the jade slip aside and focused entirely on the small bottle of shimmering liquid. Its silver light reflected across the walls like falling stars. With a slow inhale, he raised his free hand. The purple apex flames surged forth, forming into a gently swirling ball of light that pulsed like a living heart. He shaped the flame into a circular barrier that sealed the mouth of the bottle without disturbing the liquid inside. Then, his other hand formed a long incantation gesture as he began to softly chant. Thin threads of purple flame extended from the barrier, spinning slowly around the bottle. The motion grew faster, casting a faint glow across the chamber. As the rotation intensified, the bottle emitted a delicate wisp of sparkling silver spiritual force. Its chill so powerful that it made the air tremble. It shimmered like starlight breaking through a frozen night sky. Han Li took another steady breath and released a glowing azure spell seal from his hand. The flame barrier absorbed the seal, causing the swirling purple threads to collapse inward and form a solid ball of fire encasing the silver wisp. It sealed the icy energy away from the outside world. With that, Han Li placed the cap back onto the bottle and made a simple motion with his hand. The fist-sized ball of purple flame entered his body like a falling star. Carrying the essence of glacial quintessence with it, he felt the sudden chill of the essence and the burning force of the flame meet within him. He sat down cross-legged, his breathing becoming slow and steady, and allowed his consciousness to sink inward. Deep within his dantian, his 2-inch-tall nascent soul opened its eyes. The tiny figure sat surrounded by a ring of spiritual energy. The purple flame hovered before it, dancing around the flickering silver light that represented the sealed glacial quintessence. The nascent soul made a calm gesture, its body glowing with brilliant azure light. Ancient spell seals emerged from its hands, falling gently onto the flame. The flame reacted instantly. The purple fireball crackled with excited heat as the glacial quintessence began to burn in a spark of bright silver flame. The two forces merged together, cold and heat becoming one. Slowly, the silver layer melted into the core of the flame, fusing with it. The purple fireball excitedly crackled with flames as the glacial quintessence began to burn in an ember of silver flames and began to fuse with the purple flames. As for Han Li's physical body, it had now completely sank into deep meditation. Although the master of the Taoist monastery was immortal, he knew a few things of the cultivation world and could faintly guess Han Li's identity. As such, he hadn't disturbed him when he stayed in his room for an entire day. Inside the quiet chamber, Han Li slowly opened his eyes after a full day of meditation. His expression carried a faint trace of disappointment, as though he had hoped for a breakthrough that never came. In a soft and resigned tone, he murmured to himself that the glacial quintessence simply could not merge with the purple apex flames. No matter how rare or powerful it was, its nature resisted fusion with his heavenly fire. It appeared that its only true value to him lay in refinement or enhancement of other treasures, not strengthening his own flames. To confirm this conclusion, Han Li parted his lips and released a clear, radiant pearl into the air. The snow crystal pearl floated above him, shining with a cold brilliance that reflected its foundation in millennia-old ice jade. Watching it drift, Han Li raised his hand, releasing the small bottle of glacial quintessence into the air with a flick of his finger. With a casual strike from his other hand, a single drop of the precious essence shot out like a gleaming crystal and vanished into the pearl, melting into its core without leaving ripples. Han Li then formed a complex incantation gesture. He exhaled a thin thread of azure flame from his mouth, and the flame gently wrapped itself around the floating pearl, enveloping it in a cocoon of spiritual heat. The blazing light flickered like living ice and fire intertwined. Satisfied, Han Li closed his eyes again. By his estimation, the refinement would complete before the grand auction began, which meant he would have time to prepare properly. Letting his consciousness sink inward, he focused the thread of nascent flame. guiding it through the delicate process of slow refinement. This work required patience, steady control, and an expert understanding of spiritual balance. The pearl would absorb the essence over time, awakening deeper layers of power hidden in its ice jade foundation. Ellipsis. Far from the peaceful monastery, within the immense imperial palace to the north of the capital, a different scene unfolded. In a magnificent garden filled with ancient trees and blooming flowers, a frail young man in azure robes strolled leisurely along a stone path. His calm complexion carried faint satisfaction, but when he suddenly turned, his face was revealed, an almost perfect reflection of Han Li's own appearance. The only difference lay in the eyes. His gaze was cold, emotionless, and filled with unsettling darkness. Footsteps echoed from the entrance of the garden. Appearing was an elderly man wearing embroidered robes and a black hat. Meeting the youth's eyes, the old man involuntarily trembled, as though seeing something terrifying behind those familiar features. The youth turned away and spoke with an icy calmness, addressing him as fellow Taoist Yun Yi and asking why he had come. Yun Yi approached with forced composure, explaining that their intelligence network had uncovered information that might interest him. Elder Han, as the youth was called, dismissed the idea without hesitation. He claimed responsibility for nothing unless ordered by Elder Yi himself. He turned his attention back to the flowers, making his indifference clear. Unbothered by the cold attitude, Yun Yi insisted. This information was directly related to Elder Han. The youth's face shifted, his eyes narrowing with sudden intensity. Could it be that they had found that person? Yun Yi confirmed it. Members of the Yin sifting sect were searching the markets across the capital, using a portrait identical to the one Elder Han had described. The old man produced a jade slip, offering it to Elder Han. The youth caught it, his expression darkening as his spiritual sense scanned it. A chilling certainty filled his voice when he spoke again. It was the man he had been hunting for so long. Elder Han demanded to know why the Yin sifting sect was after him, but the answer remained unclear. Still, Yun Yi explained the decision of their clan elders. Since Elder Han had declared this man a great enemy, the clan would allow him to handle the matter personally, so long as he did not disrupt the coming grand auction. The Yi clan had critical items to acquire, and any disruption could ruin years of preparation. Elder Han scoffed, promising the man's disappearance from the world as long as the information was accurate. His hatred ran deep. This unknown enemy had destroyed his main soul and prevented him from fully restoring his cultivation. Killing him would not only satisfy revenge, but release priceless flying swords, allowing Elder Han to claim them for himself. In return, he demanded those devilish artifacts the clan had promised. The old man reassured him that several had already been located, though the remaining ones would take time. After Yun Yi departed, Elder Han remained alone in the garden. A cold smile curved his lips. He lifted his arm, summoning a miniature sword radiating golden light. However, black essence clung to it like chains, suppressing its spiritual brilliance. The sword trembled, yearning for freedom, but its struggles were futile. Elder Han frowned with irritation. Even the spiritual nature of a sword born from the mortal realm proved troublesome to erase. If it had not been refined from golden lightning bamboo, this process would have required far less effort. But now, with his target within the capital, he saw a rare opportunity. He could take revenge for the destruction of his primary soul, claim control of the swords, and weaken his greatest enemy in one decisive strike. The youth's pupils darkened pitch black, radiating sinister purple light. His body began to distort as monstrous transformations crept across his skin, revealing his origin within the most forbidden depths of the demonic path. Ellipsis. Meanwhile, in a remote corner of a hidden mansion in the capital, three figures sat at a table discussing the situation. The old man who had met Elder Han sat beside a dignified middle-aged man wearing a jade belt, and a beautiful woman whose eyes carried worry. She was the same woman who had interacted with the head nun at the Royal Serenity Monastery. Now, she listened intently as the old man recounted his discussion with Elder Han. The middle-aged man pondered deeply. Elder Han had agreed immediately, without hesitation, showing his hatred was genuine. Still, the woman raised a concern. The mysterious Han Li who appeared in the capital not long ago not only had the same name. He even looked identical to Elder Han. He had infiltrated the Royal Serenity Monastery under unknown motives. And now the Yin Sifting sect hunted him in secret. Something about this chain of events felt wrong. However, the middle-aged man dismissed the deeper speculation. Whatever mysteries existed, the Yi clan did not need to understand them fully, so long as Elder Han remained loyal. His immense cultivation and priceless knowledge of ancient secrets were crucial to their cause. They had invested many years into securing his support. They could not afford to lose him. At the same time, they would observe Han Li closely, supporting Elder Han if the chance to eliminate him appeared. Anyone who provoked the Yin Sifting sect to such a degree could not be ordinary. And potential threats to the Yi clan could not be ignored. The old man voiced another concern. Elder Han belonged to a forbidden sect, and his true power might be hidden from them. Gathering demonic artifacts on his behalf carried danger. The clan needed caution. The middle-aged man's tone hardened. Trust was not a luxury they could afford. Only the core elders of the Yi clan understood their true ambitions. And secrecy was vital. The grand auction ahead would contain several items essential to their long-planned mission. If other sects discovered their intentions, their entire strategy could collapse. The old man was ordered to make perfect arrangements to acquire everything the clan needed without revealing their plans. There can be no mistakes. If we cannot refine those magic tools, our journey to acquire the treasures in several years will prove very difficult. Second uncle, do not worry. Our preparations for the auction are flawless. We have hired unremarkable vagrant cultivators to purchase the items we require. On the surface, they are unrelated to our Yi clan, and after the auction is over, they will all be killed and silenced. The woman spoke with quiet confidence, but her eyes carried concern. She knew the auction was only the surface of a much larger struggle. As the words left her lips, the room fell into a tense silence. Her second uncle, a dignified middle-aged man in ornate robes, listened without expression. Across the table sat an old man, Yun Yi, who had just returned from the palace. The woman hesitated before continuing. But how are we dealing with matters on the Emperor's side? The High Zenith sect's Sable and the Heavenly Devil sect's Seven Wonders were sent to the palace. Could it be because of the rumors? Her words struck deep. The two sects were ancient and powerful, and both sending their infamous elders to the palace at the same time could not be a coincidence. The old man's expression darkened, as if the question was already haunting him. Before he could speak, the middle-aged man finally answered, his tone heavy with calculation. Rest assured, eldest brother has already probed their reason for coming, the three royal monasteries' mountain-crushing seal. Since the treasure is on the verge of completion, the information collected from their spies, combined with the rumors that we deliberately leaked, made them believe that we are refining a powerful weapon. They now think the Yi clan intends to keep it, and so, they pressure the imperial court to sell the treasure to them. He paused and let out a cold smile. In truth, this outcome is perfect. With the bait exposed, they will not see our true intentions. But just in case, all elders who know the real plan must stay together whenever they go out. Both Sable and Seven Wonders are dangerous beyond measure. They could ambush our elders at any time and forcefully search their souls. Taoist Seven Wonders specializes in bewitchment techniques. Even cultivators at the nascent soul stage may fall prey to him. The old man sighed deeply. So that is how it is. But after all the effort we put into refining the mountain-crushing seal, are we truly letting it go so easily? The middle-aged man sneered softly. Letting go? No. If only one sect came, we would be forced to surrender and gain nothing. But now, two ancient factions are here. Eldest brother has already prepared a plan. No matter who wins the treasure, they will pay a painful price for it. The old man and the woman exchanged a silent glance. They understood only one thing. Even among the mighty sects, the Yi clan would not be crushed easily. But they dared not ask more. The true schemes of the clan rested on very few shoulders. After a short exchange, the three parted ways, each leaving through different corridors of the mansion. The faint scent of ink and old paper lingering in the air like hidden secrets. Ellipsis. Time passed quickly. The day of the grand auction arrived like the turning of a great wheel. Rumors had spread across the Jin capital like wildfire, and countless cultivators had come to chase fate and treasure. Yet beneath the excitement, a dangerous hunt continued in the shadows. The yin-sifting sect had been searching restlessly for a mysterious figure, Han Li. Their elders swept through markets, inns, and meeting places, questioning merchants and examining every unfamiliar face. But they found nothing. That was because Han Li never left seclusion. He remained within his quiet inn-room, refining the snow crystal pearl, feeding it the essence of glacial quintessence, and fusing its spirit using a thin thread of his nascent flame. His focus was absolute, while the world outside moved restlessly. He sat alone, calm like a stone in the river's current. Only on the morning of the auction did he finally end his refinement. In the small mirror, a different man looked back at him, broad-shouldered, tan-skinned, with rough features like a wandering martial artist. His cultivation was carefully suppressed to the middle rank of the core formation stage. The bamboo tube on his back had changed shape, now appearing as a simple longsword. Nothing about him resembled the legendary Han Li the sects hunted. He left the inn without leaving a trace of spirit. The closer he walked toward the West Jin market, the more powerful the spiritual pressure became. Cultivators from all corners of the realm had gathered here, hidden masters from ancient clans, wealthy rogue immortals, traveling experts with powerful treasures hidden in their sleeves. Most appeared peaceful, but their eyes were sharp, weighing every stranger like a potential enemy. Han Li sensed many nascent soul eccentrics, their power hidden beneath plain clothes or casual smiles. Even more were core formation cultivators, their gazes carrying excitement and greed. At the entrance of the market, several black-robed figures guarded the path. Han Li recognized them instantly, members of the yin-sifting sect. Among them stood Zhe Tianhao, his eyes cold like an executioner. Han Li's heart did not stir. He walked forward with steady steps. As he passed through the entrance, a faint spiritual thread swept through him, probing like an invisible blade. It searched his face, his aura, and the depths of his cultivation, but found nothing unusual. The thread left him and moved on to another person. Han Li continued walking without changing expression, disappearing into the river of cultivators entering the market. Behind him, the yin-sifting sect elders looked restless. One old man with sharp eyes muttered, "Elder Zhe, this target is skilled in appearance transformation. Guarding the entrance is useless." Zhe Tianhao spoke with calm reasoning, hiding a complicated plan under his tone. "This was never meant to catch him. We only intend to pressure him. If he is unsettled, he might drop his disguise. And if not, we have another plan." The Heavenly Devil sect maintains some friendship with the Soaring tribes. Fellow Taoist Lin has already gone to borrow the Clear Sound mirror from Taoist Seven Wonders. Once the mirror arrives, we will use it in the final days of the auction. It will strip away all disguises, and we will capture him instantly. The sharp-eyed elder bowed with excitement. "Your strategy is flawless. With this, we will not need to summon the sect master and the grand elders. Capturing him ourselves will earn us great merit." Zhe Tianhao did not smile. His eyes were fixed on the enormous hall in the distance. "Let us hope so." He had seen too many twists of fate. The man they hunted had killed one of their peak nascent soul elders, someone known as the Fourth Elder, a pillar of their sect. That alone proved that Han Li could not be compared to ordinary cultivators. If they made even one mistake, the hunter could become the prey. Ellipsis. Meanwhile, Han Li stood before a colossal stone building that towered into the sky. A shimmering rainbow barrier covered its walls, reflecting the sunlight like rippling water. This was the Treasure-Shine Hall, the main auction site for core formation cultivators. But floating above it was something far more awe-inspiring. A second building, an enormous white stone hall, hovered in the air. It was 1/3 the size of the building below, yet still spanned over a kilometer in length. It floated silently, held by ancient formations that shimmered like stars. This was the Nine Firmaments Hall, the auction reserved for nascent soul cultivators. A yellow-robed attendant with Foundation Establishment Cultivation approached Han Li and spoke with respectful tone, explaining the rules. Han Li listened quietly, observing everything around him while pretending to be only an interested buyer. Other attendants guided nascent soul cultivators to the Sky Hall, while those in the core formation stage stopped before a stone tablet. Reading the auction announcements carved into it, Han Li repeated the rules to confirm them. The participation fee for the nascent soul auction is 1,000 spirit stones, and it will be held in the 9 Firmaments Hall. The core formation auction is here, in the Treasure Shine Hall, with a fee of 100 spirit stones. Correct? The attendant nodded and smiled politely. Exactly. Many more cultivators are participating than expected. The 9 Firmaments Hall was borrowed urgently from the Hidden Fortune Pavilion. The fee is the same as always. It prevents the auction from becoming overcrowded. Otherwise, the number of people would multiply tenfold. But for a senior like yourself, such a fee should not matter. Han Li nodded, satisfied. 1,000 spirit stones. Your hall is truly skilled at extracting wealth. But as long as I obtain what I want, it is a small price. I have no interest in the core formation auction. I will only attend the nascent soul event. He flicked his sleeve and tossed 10 mid-grade spirit stones. The attendant bowed gratefully and presented a jade badge engraved with ancient symbols. Han Li accepted the badge and his body blurred into a streak of azure light. Rising toward the floating hall, other cultivators rose beside him, each a hidden storm wrapped in human skin. At the gate of the 9 Firmaments Hall, no guards stood, only a barrier of pure white light. Han Li lifted the badge, channeled a hint of spiritual power into it, and a beam of red light shot out. The barrier split like a curtain. Without hesitation, Han Li slipped through the opening. The barrier sealed behind him, leaving the world outside silent once more. Inside the 9 Firmaments Hall, thousands of formation lines glowed faintly along the walls, and rows of seats gathered in a circular pattern beneath a vast crystal dome. Spiritual pressure filled the air like thunder restrained in a cage. Hours passed. One by one, nascent soul cultivators arrived, filling the hall with strength and ambition. Some wore fine robes, others dressed like wanderers, but all had come for the same reason: rare treasures that could change destinies. 4 hours later, several hundreds of nascent soul stage cultivators had gathered together in the 9 Firmaments Hall. With 3 huge bell strikes, the grand auction convened. In this episode, we saw Han Li continue his difficult journey toward immortality. Across 5 episodes combined into one, Han Li faced dangerous trials, uncovered hidden schemes, and crossed paths with powerful cultivators. Each episode revealed his steady growth, from breakthroughs in his spiritual cultivation to refining rare treasures and learning new techniques. Step by step, Han Li pushed forward, making choices that will shape his destiny and prepare him for even greater challenges ahead. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Immortal's Journey to Immortality. If you enjoyed this episode or found it interesting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications for the latest episodes in Han Li's journey. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next videos.